piano singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rock, rock, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet. Blow rockin' Robin, 'cause we really gonna rock tonight.
Welcome to Life is Good. I'm Heather McKeown, your ever-loving hostess, and guess who we have today? We have a mayoral candidate for the city of Newport. I know, doesn't that sound cliche? But this one's special. Fantastic, as a matter of fact, and Linda Joy Sullivan. And you're going to enjoy getting to know the Linda I know. So let's start. You're quite amazing. You've done everything in your life. You've been everywhere, and yet your heart is in Newport.
Well, thank you for having me, and I just really can't thank you enough. It's been wonderful to meet you and getting to know you, and it's a pleasure to be here. This is just amazing, and Newport is amazing, and the people are amazing, and I'm proud to be part of Newport, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
Oh, how long have you lived in Vermont?
Vermont, we've been here for now about 11 years.
And what is the best part of Vermont for you?
Right now, the best part of Vermont is Newport. And how could you not say that, right? And run for mayor. No.
But I've lived where you've lived, and the people I met where you lived and where I worked were phenomenal and energetic and spontaneous and open-minded. And you seem to bring that here and then meld perfectly with the people who are somewhat conservative. They love you.
So I have to say that everywhere you travel in Vermont, it's all about what you bring out in the people and what you give back to the people. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that I can bring smiles to people, and they bring smiles to me, and I can talk to people from all walks of life. And I think if you have experiences in your life that you can share with people, that you don't say, well, gee, I'm only going to speak to somebody who comes from one path, and you are really, truly interested in what somebody else has done in their life. Yeah. You're going to find something rich about them that you can say, I've experienced something similar, and what you have, you're going to tell me, and I'm going to say, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more.
You're a lifelong learner.
Oh, you bet, because I really am interested in your life. And I'm not just here to hear a story. There's something fun, and there's something sad, and there's something I can get from what you've learned, because otherwise we're not humane, and we're all part of civilized man, and that makes us rational.
I think we're interconnected, and I think that's when you talk about what you're saying is that you have empathy and understanding of human nature. You also know you've worked across the aisle in politics in your life, and that's like walking down the street. My father used to say, business is people.
People be our business.
Yes, and if you get people, you can accomplish anything, and not through manipulation, but through understanding their needs and filling that need, and it doesn't have to come back to you. That need being filled, well, that person will go further and help somebody else. And I get that vibe from you.
Well, I don't think you want to have something be about you.
Not at all.
I mean, I think we've grown up. When you're a child, you want to benefit because you want to please, and you want the pleasure to be for yourself. Okay, and let's go back to Freud, okay, with that whole id, the ego, and the superego. Mm-hmm. We want to pass that.
Let's skip Jung altogether, because I'm not going to tell you what I dream about.
Okay, but we want to go past Jung. We've done Freud, we've done Jung, and we've done all that. But I think what we want to say is we're civilized man, and we want to give back. We want to give back to society.
But that is not the political
the
cliche
norm.
Right now. Right now, it's an oddity. And I think that you represent what we had before, which was man's humanity to man and me as a servant.
Well, I'm hoping that it isn't the oddity. I'm hoping that politically, and I'm hoping, first of all, that the mayor is not a political position.
It's not.
I'm hoping that we are talking about the citizens of Newport and that the mayor is the ambassador and the mayor is part of the legislature of the council, and that we should not be political. We should be here for all of the citizens of
Well, that's what I
Newport.
like to hear, but that's the
That's
vibe I get from you.
Well, and
And the
that's what
first
we
thing
wanna
I
do.
asked you was in different words, do you play well with others?
I think that I play well with everybody.
This is good.
That is what we need to do. And I actually want to be sure that we hear from the citizens of Newport and that we play 100% well with everybody.
Ah, yes.
What we want to do is we want to listen. We don't want to make promises
That you
we
can't
can't
keep.
keep.
Thank you.
Definitely don't want to do that.
Well, I've never really heard promises. I've heard a lot of requests. If the council meetings are to be repeated and repeated, that there are a lot of people standing up saying, but what about this? But what about that? But I'm concerned about this. And it's really hard to get responses. And I think saying, I'll find out for you and get back to you is a wonderful way of dealing with people with a lot of questions when you only have 2 minutes to speak. So how will you handle that? How will you get back to people?
Well, I think that's a twofold. So I think, first of all, there's a process. There's the council, which is the legislative body.
Yeah.
And I think the process is, how is the council going to handle that with its new people coming on when there's a new mayor as part of that council? They're going to decide that process. And then I think that formula is going to be set. So if questions are going to be asked, then of course there'll be, however the council decides, those answers will come. Then there's going to be, how are coffee situations going to be handled? Will there be emails going forward? But the legal questions, how the council answers, will be decided by that legislative body. And I would think that they're going to say, hey, if you have a question, come back, and they don't have an answer, it will come back the following meeting or 2 meetings. But I'm sure the answers will come back because it's a legislative body. They're not going to
I've called
ignore.
one person. I called one person on the council, Clark, and I asked him a direct question, and he and I had the nicest, most beautiful conversation about goals, aspirations, what's possible, and we went from answering my question immediately to talking about the camaraderie that will exist from here on in, hopefully with everybody, so that we can have a peaceful coexistence and a friendly atmosphere in which we can all grow.
And why would that not happen? Of course it would happen.
Things are changing, and
And that's good.
I feel fantastic about the future of Newport right now. We had the EB5 problem, but that is history. Every city has been hit hard with something at some point. San Francisco was hit with the 1900 earthquake. Tulsa, Oklahoma was, in various Oklahoma cities knocked out by tornadoes. Newport was hit by EB5. We are people like other Americans. We can rise from this, and you will help us with your attitude.
And if you live in a city, you have to expect that you're not living in a dream world.
Up and down.
You're living in an area where people exist, and people come with histories, people come with experiences, people come with troubles, people come with good times, cities come with issues.
And you know
And
what?
we
That
need to
brings
work it to wonderful revenues. They come with things that are going to be good. They come with things where maybe we need the community to come together and help one another. And they come with people, hopefully, the council, the mayor part of that council, where you can reach out and say, we need some assistance.
And I think that's about to happen.
I hope so. And I know I'll definitely try if I'm elected.
I know you will, and that's the vibe I get. And I keep saying vibe, but for me, there has to be
More than a vibe.
Something like that. It's a good starting point. You have a proven track record with helping people.
Yes.
As a volunteer in a community, too, in Vermont. And I don't sense a huge ego here.
I do not have a huge ego. I know that I have all of my life, ever since I'm young, given back to the community. That is how I've been raised.
I know. Let's talk about how you were raised, because you told me a little bit about that. This is so much fun. Tell me about your life at home when you were growing up.
Okay, so my life at home growing up, I had to go to school. I had to do my homework. If I wanted to go out and do things, I had to go to work. And I worked. From babysitting on to volunteering as a candy striper.
You were a candy striper?
Yeah, I got my hat.
Oh my God! I love that. If you don't know what candy strippers are, if you're of a younger age than I am, candy strippers were the lucky girls who got to go into hospitals and were given pink striped uniforms called candy stripes to help medically, to help in the hospital with anything from filing to carrying things to listening to what the doctors needed. What a wonderful experience.
It was amazing. I mean, to the point where I was a Girl Scout to a Girl Scout leader. I mean, you know, I'm always doing things like that. I was always a volunteer. You always had to do something. So no matter what it was, you had to work, from stacking books in a library. So whatever you wanted to do was always good. I was always a dance teacher.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So,
I mean, this woman's a tremendous tap dancer. I mean, you can't do it on my floor, it'll scratch, but oh my gosh.
Tap dancing is my thing. I danced professionally. I choreograph. I'm a director, and that's my love.
There's somebody at our station who has a secret desire to be a tap dancer.
Oh, really?
I will introduce you.
Definitely have to be working with that person.
Yes.
So I just finished choreographing Kiss Me Kate for the Dorset Players, and I actually, for the Borderline Players, just submitted a proposal to do a show.
Which one?
What I did right now is I said I would do anything that they had on their list that was a musical that required a choreographer or a director. But now I'm thinking I'm going to actually put in for Sweet Charity.
Okay.
But I'm going to connect first with some of the musical directors to see who's available.
Did you see their last production this past
No,
weekend?
I wasn't
You were out
able
of
to
town?
get there because I wasn't in town. But I've heard wonderful things.
It was a tour de force. 3 hours of the best musical talent. There wasn't a star. There was every person doing their best. It was phenomenal. And these are all local talent.
You know, that's what I love. I love the fact that it's local talent, and that's just what's so much fun.
It is.
Yeah. So, and I'm excited about, being able to participate in the theater at that level here as well. So I love to travel, and I love to do, any type of choreography or direction in musical theater anywhere.
Speaking of travel, you're off to Hawaii to visit young'uns.
I am going to see my daughter and granddaughter, and that's for I have 10 days, so that'll be fun too. So
It'll be exhausting.
the trip is exhausting, and it will be hot, but of course there'll be a daughter and a granddaughter there, so that's always wonderful.
Yeah.
But that'll be a short trip, and then I'll be back. So
Yeah, it's just a little bit in August, but the fact is there's a family connection here. You're close to your family. And
Very
close.
close.
Even though there's a distance, there's a sweetness.
Doesn't matter. Distance doesn't count.
Distance doesn't count. I know my son lives half a mile from me. I rarely see him. My daughter lives 27 miles away, and I see her more often, which is amazing. But to go to Hawaii, that's a killer for me. I mean, it wouldn't be a deal breaker. I'd still be a mom, but it takes a heck of a lot of energy to be a mom at that level.
You still have to do it.
Yeah.
You still do it.
Yeah. Do you have just one child?
Then I have a stepdaughter who lives in North Carolina with 2 grandchildren there too.
Yeah. And one daughter, and a grandchild. How old is your grandchild?
A little bit over a year.
Oh, she's a baby.
That's right. That's why we're going to
We can
Hawaii.
you can mold
Still
her.
mold. Yeah.
You
still
can
lots of
mold her
molds.
until she's 14, and then it's all over.
Yeah, I think it's 14. I think it's 3.
Really?
I think they've changed the age of molding.
Really? Oh.
But I am bringing her first tap shoes.
Are you really?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I can't walk, grab but
but I can tap.
This poor little girl, I can see it all now, you know. She doesn't need those teeth. She's on the floor, but she'll learn.
She'll tap. She'll tap. You have to do it, right? You just
Yeah,
have
well,
to
around
do
here
it.
we tap trees.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you tap, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, what else can we chat about here that's very important to you?
Newport.
Okay.
The people, listening to them. I think it's really important that Newport speaks to me if they decide that I am the person they want to be their mayor. I want them to speak to me. I want to hear from the business people. I want to hear from the people who live here. I want to hear from the people who are renting, the people who are buying homes. I want to hear from the landlords. I want to hear from everybody so they can tell me what they want.
Well, we do want senior citizens housing.
Well, good. I'm one of the commissioners on the Vermont Housing Trust, and we need to hear what's going on, because it's very important. Housing all over the state of Vermont is changing because of COVID and because everything is changing here. We have different avenues that we need to tap into, and we need to understand what's going on here.
What is going on?
Well, what's going on right now is because of COVID, there's different pricing. If you think about it, we have the people who are earning here right now. What do we have? About 1,900 people who are employed within Newport itself. So they're earning, let's say, from the hospital. They're earning in the social services and maybe in the restaurant business. How else can they earn? And that's why we need to figure out what kind of revenue streams can we bring to Newport. And that's why we need to listen to some of the business owners here. We need to figure out how to get Newport a bit more vibrant.
Oh, yes.
But so we won't know that until we have the council people with the new mayor speak to the people and listen to the business people. We have to figure out, how do we make a pulse happen again in Newport?
Yeah. The pulse is here. It's just
Well,
very
we have
slow
to
right now.
pump it back up.
It's got low blood pressure right now, and yet all the organic materials are here. But bringing the people back here as a tourist industry is very important. I think that's a bread and butter thing, but it's so fickle.
Well, you have to remember, we have a beautiful lake,
I grew up on that lake.
but that lake is beautiful and it's a tourist attraction. And we have to say, okay, what is missing?
Well, infrastructure, the sewage department is terrible.
Well,
I mean, the department's not
it's
terrible. I take that
not-
back. The infrastructure under, when you see broken pipes and you see raw sewage going into the bay, and you see all of that happening in a very small area with very little surface area, so it all flows out into the main lake. That is a very dangerous thing.
But we have to get the right information.
Yeah.
And you have to know who to speak to.
Yes.
And you have to understand really what's going on. So, we have to be careful as well with the information we're getting. And we have to be sure that the information is accurate. And we have to be sure that whoever's getting the information and the contracts are correct. We have to be sure of all of the information that we're getting, that we're transmitting that information correctly.
Right. But the information itself is wonderful, but how are we going to curb that sort of thing?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's going to take money.
But not only that, what I'm saying is, if you have to watch the money that you're using, you have to look at the balance sheet, you have to see where it's going, who's watching it, and what's going on. So you need your mayor and the council people to be able to look at the financials and actually analyze them and see what's going on.
Now that we're discussing that, what is your background?
Okay. So
Did you like the way
oops, that was a
I'm
nice
a
segue.
a terrible interviewer, but I do know where I'm going eventually. Segue to forensic accounting.
So I am an accountant. I am actually not an accountant. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm a public auditor. I do forensic accounting as a living. I'm hired to be a forensic turnaround specialist.
Yay!
Okay.
This is why I was getting to you to say, whatever we're doing, can you funnel some of it into the sewage cleanup?
Sewage cleanup. Okay.
That was my father's business, and he was one of the first people to start he was the with 6 other people trying to get septic tanks put onto the lake.
I see. Okay.
And he got no profit out of that except we had a clean lake.
You had a clean lake.
And I think you are terrific at money issues.
Yeah. So I will be able to look at the audits. I will be able to look at the numbers, the budgets. I will be able to look at past financials, see historically what has flowed forward, where they have been placed. I will be able to look at the adjustments. I will be able to see the transactions, and I will be able to see going forward what the budgets going forward are. I will be able to identify where the transactions were placed. I will be able to speak with the auditors.
Will you be able to prioritize?
I would think I would definitely be able to prioritize.
Great.
I can do target break evens.
This is very good. This is very good.
However, you should understand that that is not the mayor's job to sit down and crunch the numbers. That is the city managers, but I will be able to work with the manager
I've spoken with her.
identify
Yeah.
with, you know,
I've
help,
spoken-
of course, absolutely help that person and sit down.
This is a team effort.
That's exactly right.
And the team effort we need in Newport right now is city council, very smart people, lovely people, you,
I hope so.
and I've just talked at length with our city manager, and she's very quick to say, I'm interim. And I talked about continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, once you get into this job, the continuum will be your knowledge. And would you be interested in the continuation of this? She said, well, I'll see at the end of 6 months. But if you and this lovely person in office can work together with the city council, this is a dynamite team. And we need team.
Oh, teamwork is the most important criteria for any
Success.
legislative successful body.
Speaking of legislative successful body, you're giving me so many great segues here. You worked with the state legislature.
I was in the legislature, yes.
And you had 3 terms?
Yes, I was there for 6 years.
And within that time, what was your biggest challenge?
Making sure that I voted my conscience and I took care of my district as well as the state of Vermont as sensibly as I possibly could, and thinking through for the administration when there was opposition, because there are a lot of parties there. It was a big tent.
I know.
So when you went in there and, you know, you voted in, you run in a party, but even your own party is not just like, you might run as a Democrat, you might run as a Republican, but there's like
The
a big
Party.
D, a bigger D, a little D, a big R, a bigger R, a little R, whatever you want, you know. You're out there and there's like a whole bunch of definitions of what that means. And you still have 5 towns under your belt. And then you go in and you're, well, wait a minute, you still have to read the bill. And there's details in the bill, and then it's like a cut and paste. I'm going to slip this bill into your bill, into another bill, and all of a sudden, the heading of the bill isn't really the bill you're voting on. So it's like, okay, I want to vote for this. It's a good bill, but what is this piece doing in here?
The front
And so the challenge is the details of the bill. You want to get a part of it passed,
but not sell your soul.
But not sell your soul on the bad part. So sometimes you have to give up the good bill and say, I'm just not going to do it until the next round, until they say, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a mediator.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta give a little, take a little.
But sometimes you have to give it all, because you just can't do that to Vermonters. You cannot say, you know, this sounds really good, but it's going to cost them so much money. So you can't say, because in my heart I believe in this social theme, I'm going to kill them in their pocket.
You can't.
You just
can't
can't do it.
And that's where,
But-
and I think the social impact of legislation is really important. But one lesson I learned I was caught speeding.
I
And
can't believe you.
it's true. I didn't know my car would have. Who knew? Anyway, so I got caught speeding. It was years and years and years ago. My dog was bleeding on the side. My dog had hurt her paw, and she was bleeding on the passenger side. And I didn't look. And I took a shortcut that I'd never been on before. It was out of Berkshire, heading towards St. Albans, and I slammed on my gas, and I was going, and boom, there's the policeman behind me, and he stops me, and I said, "Are you going to escort me to the vet?" Maybe my daughter called and said, "My dog's sick, you know." And he said, "No, you were speeding. You know what the speed limit is here?" I said, "No." He said, "It's 25. I said, "Well, how fast was I going?" He said, 50. I said, "Well, I was shooting for 60 because my dog's really bleeding here." And he said, "Well, Heather, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but you're speeding and that's going to cost you." And I said, "Can you just make it fast?" And he said, "Yeah." So he ended up not giving me a ticket, but a warning. Something about bleeding dogs on the side, you know. But he said, the only way to stop a speeder is to hit them in the pocket. And he said, consider this a hit in your pocket. Consider that it will be double next time and double the points because I've written it down. Don't speed or you're going to be $260 cheap. You know, and I didn't earn that much. I said, okay, I don't speed because the points are one thing, but the money, I didn't have enough at that time. And, you know, who does to waste it on that? When he said hit you in the pocket, that keeps my foot off the gas. And it will keep people sensible if we're thinking about finances. And my dad once told me, I'm phoning my dad a lot, but I miss him. And he said, I was a big social issue person, and Dad said, well, you know, without a budget, without an economy, you won't have any rights, Heather. So shut up.
You need to be fiscally responsible. And you still have to think about everybody who works and everybody who wants to work and can't work. They need to be able to have the chance to work.
So how are we going to bring business here? That's getting back to that subject.
We're going to collaborate, we're going to listen, and we're going to sit down, if I am elected, and we're going to sit down and we're going to speak to everybody, and then we're going to look at the history, we're going to look at the future, and we're going to say, what type of jobs are needed? What type of rents are being paid? What type of revenues, and where should they come from? What are our balance sheets? What's really going on here? How much debt is going on? Where is it being paid from? We need to talk to our business people, okay? We need to see where those streams of revenue are coming from. We definitely need to generate tourism. I mean, we can't just say, come in July and then it's over. We have to keep it going.
Well, you know, I have an Airbnb, and it's very, very slow this year because people are flying again. But how do we make them say, how do I bring them in saying, yeah, you can fly to Bimini and go scuba diving, but you can come to Newport. You can come to Newport and ride on the Northern Star, which is the most fabulous, mind-expanding experience with a great captain and a superb lake, and you can stay at my house.
But you also need to have something else to keep them here.
I can cook. No.
No, but we need to keep a pulse going in Main Street. We really do. We need to say, what's the most of the people who live here, so we have like 40 to 50-year-olds with like, you know, some families here. That's the age bracket that's here, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wonderful. So we want them to stay here. We don't want them to leave. We want them to be able to work here.
Now, working remotely, a lot of people are working remotely now, and still there's not the housing that they need.
They're not the housing that they need. So we have to figure that out. How do we get the homes that are here renovated? How do they become able to afford to purchase homes within an affordable range?
Well, Vermonters are having a tough time purchasing homes now.
No, I understand. But if there are jobs.
There you go.
Okay, that's why I said we need to talk to the business people that are here and say what type of jobs are needed shy of just the hospital and social.
And the prison.
Right, but I'm saying right now, we have to say not just the jobs that are here right now. We need other businesses. What kind of retail will work? Okay, we're not going to be bringing in heavy duty manufacturing. Do we have any type of opportunity, say, for aircraft parts businesses, just drop shifting? And this is just like thoughts, you know what I'm saying?
Just mention aircraft and I'm in.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these are thoughts, not researched, but thoughts. Okay, so we have to talk. We have to talk to the administration. We have to talk to business people. We have to talk to the business world.
Out there, so they can come here.
Exactly.
Now, do you have any, being captain of my family, captains of industry all over Canada, they're not going to come here. But a captain of industries in this country should be begging to come to Newport and building their own places and
That's correct.
Creating their own environment and bringing in tons of people, but first of all, hiring local. And I think that's such a wonderful. We have so much land out on the Derby Road. We have so much land that could be manufactured. I don't know whether a mayor is able to be the catalyst to have people who are unresponsive because they've lost faith.
So the key is, first you need to find out what the rules are. And before you can say, or anyone who's running can turn around and say, oh, I can do that. And no, but I'm saying, before any candidate, I'm hoping, would never do that. But you might have a candidate who does, but any candidate should really never do that. They should go in and talk to the council, read the charters, read the laws, and then turn around and say, what can we do together as a body to figure out what our priorities are? How do we get things inspired and going?
And get the people who have already burned out and don't want it.
And figure it out. Who do we call and contact?
If you can't contact the person in charge of that decision and they won't respond to you, and I know they're busy, but I'm busy, at least respond a little bit, like that's a definite no.
But everybody has an agent. Everybody has somebody who will speak.
I'm the speaker for me.
But what I'm saying on the other side. So what I'm saying is, once they realize that change is happening, and once they realize that there are new people coming in, and they see that maybe there are people who have qualifications that are working now with the people who are there and listening to the public. Yep. People pay attention.
Well, I'd like to be paid attention to now, and I'm wondering if that's the attitude that you're going to have to break through.
And so what?
I think you've done it before. You've done it before, and that's what I was trying to make my point here. If people have already given up and won't respond to positivity and ideas and determination and promises and sincerity, if they don't respond, their reason is probably it doesn't matter anymore. And what I see with this board, with you, with our new city manager, with the council, you can move mountains together.
I think persistency, consistency, and teamwork, you can actually get through to people.
Yep. So I'm hoping, because I think Newport's ready.
Newport definitely has their arms open.
Yeah.
And I think they're welcoming. And I think Newport is smart.
Yeah.
And I think I welcome the fact that they're smart, and I would like to keep them smart. I think a smart city is what we need.
I think with smart city is what we have, and now we're going to use our brains. See, when I was growing up, Main Street, Burns Theater, Frank's Steakhouse, Newberry's, everything was alive. The Dairy Joy, if anybody remember the Dairy Joy. Newport was it for me in the summer, because I lived in a cottage it was a private area, and there was nothing going on. We had no TV, we had no phone, we had the lake, and that's all we needed. The lake and my friends, who are still my friends. And we'd come 6 miles across from Cedarville, dock here in Newport, and we'd go to the Burns Theater, and then we'd go home with the night light on the boat at night. And it was amazing. It was the biggest city in my life, and I'm from Montreal, but it was the city that meant something to my heart. And I know it's still here. And when I made the pitch for Newbury Windows, it was with a warm heart. First time I moved here, I went to visit my neighbor next door. Her name was Betty Azur. She's passed away. She was, I think, 89 or 90 when I met her. And now her sister lives next door to me. But she said, well, how do you do? Yes, my name is Betty Azur, and we moved to this house in 1959, and I worked for Newberry's in their accounting. I did their business and their bookkeeping. And I just looked at her in awe. I said, I probably met you when I was 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 18, when I was in Newberry's. And she said, well, I was in the offices, you know. But yes, we probably met. And we both loved Newberry's, and we loved everything that was happening back then. Derbyport Drive-In, the mini putt with Mr. McNally, all of these things. When you're a child with those memories, it's an amazing thing to come and have windows and empty windows. But it's all still here because the memories are still here, and they can be elevated again.
In your soul.
They're in my soul. But me, I'm a part-timer compared to the people who are born here. I'm nothing compared to what they have. They've got a genetic memory that goes back generations. I've got a memory I can't remember my name half the time, you know? It's like, it's here for you.
And the key is to bring it back.
It will be coming back.
Well, that's the key.
Linda Joy Sullivan, August 1st.
Thank you. And I hope you all come out to vote.
That's what we need, folks. If we want something, we have to make it happen. So August 1st, Main Street, Town Hall, come and vote. I've interviewed all, other candidates. I know other candidates. Everybody's got their heart in the right place. But Linda's been every place doing this job elsewhere and has a vision and a proven track record to get her done. And I am very pleased because we deserve this election. We wanted this election. We worked for this election. And you deserve Newport, and Newport deserves you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah. Thanks for watching Life is Good, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
They started going steady and bless my soul. He outbopped the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street look to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Slow rockin' Robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight.